Perfect. All right, so this is basically, it's just a fast review of kind of the history of the United, the current mission today, and the role of the Friends of the United. And the purpose of this is just to make sure that we're, all volunteers, that we're all on the same page, that we all have the same information, so that when we're manning a tent or we're ushering at an event and somebody asks, we've all got the same information.
Okay.
So I'm going to run through all of that. You may already know some of this information, so I'll run through it fairly quickly, and then I'll leave time at the end when we won't be recording for any kind of Q&A. And at that point, I will also ask what specific committee you're most interested in, given kind of your schedule and everything else. So with that being said, I'm just going to kind of run through it. So today we're going to talk about the history of the mission today, a little bit about the building, and then what the role of the volunteer is.
Okay.
So United Theater opened 1926 as a vaudeville theater. In the 30s, it was converted to a cinema. And in 1986, actually, when I was here in high school in Westerly, 1986, it closed. 2006, the Westerly Land Trust purchased it and dedicated it as an arts nonprofit, and it reopened in July 2021 in its current state. And it's really been ramping up since then. So I can't believe it's been 2 years this coming July. And the mission today, as Carly Callahan, who's the new executive director, probably about 6 months ago, Carly very eloquently says, however people who enjoy the arts and support the arts come to the United, whatever avenue they come, that's we're thrilled. It's a hub for creative activity. It's for creative thinkers, for leaders, lifelong learners. And really the purpose of the United is just to bring together all of those people in the community of the arts at the United. So it's to showcase phenomenal artistry from our region and beyond, and provide vital arts educational opportunities for youth and adults. There are 3 cinema spaces: the Black Box Theater, there's a multi-purpose event space, the Fine Art Gallery, and we've got studios for art and media classes and the community music school. So, if you're on this training, most likely you've been to the United and you've seen the building. So we'll just run quickly through, all of the different elements of the building. If you have not, there's a restaurant called the Cafe, which is on the right-hand side when you're facing here, the main entrance. It is independent from the United, although we do partner on special events. Also, when you're facing the main doors to the right, if you look through the windows, you'll see the Public's Radio, the Washington County Bureau. Again, that's also independent from the United, but we partner on podcasting, storytelling, learning podcasting, production for all ages, etc. The Black Box Theater and the balcony is this central spot where most of the live events happen, and those can be dance, it could be opera, it could be music, with comedy happens there quite a bit, and it is flexible for events. So we also did the Friends of the United Dance United, which was just this past April, where all of the chairs in the center were cleared out. We had chairs ringing it, but people learned swing dancing for the first hour. They were given free swing dancing lessons. About 150 people there, and then starting at 8 o'clock, it was open for competition and just dancing, and the dance floor was packed. So the capacity is 500 if it's just standing with no chairs, 300 if we put the seats in, and 100 in the balcony. And that's important, just to know, because that's a lot of what the Friends of the United helps with, ushering in the Black Box Theater, setting up the chairs, and helping people to get to where they need to go. So this is it in, without anybody in there, but with the full chair set up, and here's the stage with the brick background. There is a green room to the left of the theater where the artists can get ready for their performance. There aren't dressing rooms. It's more of just a sitting room, a waiting room. And then behind this theater is up above is this balcony with permanent seats, where if you've been to the United to watch a movie, they do cut off the balcony so that you can watch movies from the balcony. And it is state-of-the-art sound and projection. So watching a movie there is actually pretty cool. When you go into the theater, there is a concession stand in kind of the central spot in what it was the old Montgomery Ward building. To the left of that concession stand is this main movie cinema. The concession stand offers, your normal popcorn, candy, everything else. And this main cinema, which is larger than the 24-seat micro cinema, which is just as you enter the theater. But this main cinema, again, is state-of-the-art sound. It can be rented for special events. We have special movie events in it. So it's 76 very comfortable seats with, I don't know if you can see it, but the state-of-the-art soundproofing. And there can be pre and post film talks with filmmakers. A lot of the comedy shows actually happen in here as well. So that's kind of fun. So that's the main cinema. Have you been to the main cinema?
No, but we've been to the micro cinema to see that Irish movie that came out a couple months ago.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, I love the micro cinema. When we did the Mystic Film Festival, they were running a number of the films at the United, in addition to the La Grua and a couple of other places. But that was in the micro cinema, and it's a lot of fun, watching. It's a very intimate affair watching a short, a first run or an art house movie.
And it was comfortable also.
Yes, exactly. So there's also across from the concession stand, this is the gallery room, which, we've only got a picture of the windows here, but typically we've got a rotation of artists exhibiting along the wall. We've had Westerly High School art teachers. Jonathan Tedeschi was one. We've had a number of other local artists. We had the Westerly High School seniors doing having an art display in there as well. So that is a constant rotation, and it's a lot of fun to see what's in that space. It can be used for community groups and schools. We have a number of other events that go on in there. One of them is the Literacy Volunteers of Washington County, in partnership with the United, having a book circle where we get different people to step up here on the stage, different local authors or local celebrities to come and talk about some of the books that they've been reading or that have influenced them, or in many cases, the books that they're writing. Downstairs, if you haven't been to tour the downstairs, it is the music school in partnership with the Rhode Island Philharmonic. There are classrooms, rehearsal space, lesson studios, a separate reception, and it serves up to 350 students. And it's really, really cool when you go down there to know that we've got that right in downtown Westerly. I think very exciting for, the art, music and the arts in Westerly, and for all of our students here. So I think that's one of the one element of the United a lot of people don't know or don't know exists. And when I've worked the tents on the downtown shutdown that happens in spring and the fall, and the United has their tent, typically we're next to the music school band. And those kids are great. There was a band called Pop, and they had, two high school girls who were singing, and they, had a number of the students for guitar and drum, and they were really, really good. There was a lot of fun.
We went to the Knickerbocker once when they had all the students playing there on the stage.
I love that. I just think, that's exactly what Westerly needs. Like, we are, planting a seed, and we're a growing ground for future musicians and artists. And I love that.
It's a great program.
Yeah, and it sets us apart. It's so good for our community to do that.
It is.
Parking, just so that people know, you're probably familiar with, at the train station up here on the railroad, and if you go underneath the
Yeah.
railroad bridge on the left-hand side, is the overflow parking. So there's now plenty of parking, on a busy Saturday night, in Westerly. Accessibility, the theater is entirely built to ADA specifications, wheelchair accessible, accessible bathrooms, listening devices, and an elevator.
Yeah,
And then there's a number of different, standards if you go to the website. So that's pretty exciting regular programming that Tony and Carly have managed to put together. So as I mentioned, Carly Callahan is the executive director. We're very lucky to have Carly. She was a producer on Broadway and has been with the United now following Lisa Utman Randall, who was the outgoing executive director, who did a terrific job opening the theater. And now Carly is taking it, and taking what Lisa and Tony and Bess and the group have built, and she's taking it to the next level. And they're adding more and more events and really exciting groups and artists and shows that are coming to Westerly. Greg is the front of house manager. So he's again, another name to know. Greg's terrific. He's really the person who sets everything up, beforehand, and all of our volunteers help to support him. And then Molly, depending on the committee that you choose, Molly is kind of the behind the scenes United Theater admin, and she works a lot with our Friends of the United volunteer admin group.
yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that now. What do the Friends of the United do? We're the volunteer group. So Friends of the United was founded in 2014 by Ed and Nina Rossamando, who met with the first executive director and suggested forming the Friends of the United just to build awareness within the community. And it's no longer just the Westerly geographic area. We get people coming from Narragansett, Charlestown, Mystic, Stonington, because Westerly, with the United, the Knickerbocker, and a number of other places, Westerly is really known now as the hub of music and arts in our area. We'll give Mystic food. They're the foodie place, and we're known as music and arts, which is great.
Yep.
So they built Friends of the United. And the mission really, we've got about 45 volunteers now. And our role, our primary objective, is just to make people aware of the awesome things that we've got going on at the United, to talk up the comedians, the Saltwater Opera, the Dance United, and just make sure that people around our area know that we've even got all of this incredible programming going on. And so we support both an awareness and boots on the ground help. And what will happen is we'll talk a little bit about committees, but we've got committee heads. And when the theater needs help from our volunteer army, they just say, hey, April 15th, I've got this event going on. I need 3 volunteers. And they'll send out an email to everyone. And if you can do it, you respond that you can do it. And if you can't, then you don't. So it's pretty easy to be engaged and participate.
Okay.
So names to know, again, Ed and Nina were are basically the presidents of the Friends of the United. And I am mostly the volunteer liaison. I do this training and recruitment. Other names for special committees: Kay handles the admin committee, which we'll talk about in a second. And then Paula McLeod and Danielle DeForge handle special events and live events. And we're always looking for volunteers to help on each of the committees. And it really depends on what works for you. So admin, if you're somebody who just wants to come in let's just pretend every Tuesday from 10 to noon and help stuff envelopes or help manage an Excel document, or help gather the names of business managers. If you just want a set schedule per week, then the admin committee is terrific. If you're somebody who's like, you know what, I travel a lot, I go away, I'm never here in the summer, or I work, or maybe I'm retired and I travel a lot, special events and live events is more what we call ad hoc. So you'll just get the email requesting from Paula or Danielle, and you say, yep, these dates work for me. Or if they don't, then you don't sign up.
Okay.
We also look for help from anybody who has a background in business development. That's mostly just to talk with businesses around the area, and make them aware of what a great opportunity working with the United and sponsoring events for the United might be. A great place to start for a lot of people, which is very easy and on your own schedule, is distributing flyers. So the marketing department will put together flyers for, let's say, the Saltwater Opera is coming. You go to the United, you pick up some flyers. The flyer groups are assigned. So let's say you are assigned you volunteer because it works for you, the Stonington Pawcatuck area. And we have a list of where to put up the flyers around those areas. So whatever day works for you, as long as the flyers get up before the event, hopefully a week before the event. The flyers is just a great way to participate and be engaged without having too much of a set schedule.
Yeah.
Other areas are things like this, the training, recruitment, engagement for other volunteers. So I would love to have, 3 volunteers on training, recruitment, and engagement, where your only job is to try to get other people who want to help out at the United, or to do these Zoom training. So on all of these committees, we'll talk about it at the end, but you can sign up for one or many. Some people are like, look, I've got nothing but time, I'll do every single one of them. There are other people, who are like, look, I work a lot, so I can only do flyering because then I can do it in the evening when I'm not working. Or like I said, with set schedules for admin, training, or engagement, if you want something that you can count on, I can tell you all the dates for the training. It's always the noon on the first Tuesday of the month. Engagement, we've got 4 quarterly, and we've already got the dates because we had to reserve the days. And so that's just helping to talk to people and get them during these events, get them engaged. And then, as I said, with admin, that's going in, on a set schedule, whatever day works for you and whatever hours. Or just watch your email. Our primary mode of communication is email. So please make sure that we're in your address book and we don't go into spam. But you'll just receive an email saying, hey, we need help coming up for these 4 events. Let me know if you can help.
Okay.
So that's kind of more ad hoc and whatever works for you. So the next steps are really just to let me know, it is my work email address, but just email me at anne.driscoll, DRISCOLL, at thegreatlyagency.com, and tell me which committee works best for you. And again, I'll just kind of remind you, it was, what do you think works better? Would you be interested in training, engagement? Does admin and a set schedule work better for you? Or do you just want to be on the list for live and special events, flyer distribution, and just respond as you get an email on what works for you? What happens is there are different, heads of each one of those committees. And I will introduce you to the head via email. And that's just more so you've got a direct connection to them. And then what they will do is they'll introduce themselves, and whenever they need help on, flyering, they will email you directly. It won't be me. It'll just be whoever the head of that committee is, and they'll send you an email and request some help. With admin, what will happen is I'll introduce you to Molly and to Kay via email, and they'll probably respond, hey, can you come in? It seems to be next Monday at 10 o'clock, just so we can talk with you and find out what works in your schedule. That's the way they'll handle that.